So the thing is, okay, this is kind of embarrassing for me to talk about. I hope you get yourself a hot drink. If you were here with me, I would get it for you, but since you're not, you're gonna have to do that yourself. I have coffee here, which I added double cream into because I didn't have any milk. This coffee is quite special. Every time I drink this coffee, it's special because one of my lovely friends got me the coffee machine. So every time I use it, I think of her. If you're watching this, you know who you are. This reading list is a combination of physical books, Kindle, and also audiobooks. And I do have recommendations for each book, whether or not you should read it, listen to it. I mean, whether you read it on a Kindle or in paperback, that's up to you. I like paperback for the experience of holding the book, the artwork, everything like that. But Kindle is obviously so much more convenient if you like to read before you go to sleep in bed and you don't want to have like the main light on. Or it's also really convenient when you travel, especially if you're traveling for a longer period of time. Last year, I was in China for a month and I read maybe like 5 or 6 books in that time, and all on my Kindle. I don't actually have all the books that I need here because if I really love a book, I tend to give it away, actually. So most of the physical books that I'm going to mention, I actually don't have them anymore. The author is Ruth Ozeki. She is actually a Zen Buddhist priest, and as well as that, she teaches at Smith College in Massachusetts. Side note, the idea of being taught by Ruth is literally a dream of mine, and I would actually consider thinking about how I could go back to the States to study just to take one of her classes. The point that I was actually here to make is about her book called My Year of Meats. The thing that I love about Ruth's books is she'll take a social issue that she cares about and then she will weave it into just a really great fiction story. The power of her storytelling is incredible, but oftentimes like when an author has some kind of point that they want to get across to the reader, but they just state the facts pretty plainly, it can be interesting at the time, but it really doesn't stick. Whereas because she weaves the facts into stories, into really, really beautiful stories as well, might I add. I've picked out My Year of Meats, although I have read these 3 as well. I would also recommend these, but My Year of Meats sticks out to me the most because it centered around the meat industry in America and the use of antibiotics. I knew roughly about this, but I didn't understand the severity, and I also never thought about how the antibiotic use on the farms actually affected the farmers' families. So that's all I'm going to say about that, because otherwise I think it'll become a bit of a spoiler. Ruth Ozeki, pick up any one of her books. They are so good. It's just exquisite, everything she does. The next author who I am an absolute fangirl for is Donna Tartt. Donna Tartt, if you're watching this, if there's any chance you see this, please write more books. The thing with Donna is it takes her 10 years to write each of her books so far. She only has 3 books and she spent 10 years on each of them. And it shows because these books are literal works of art. The way that she creates a world and the complexity of the world and the depth of the characters is honestly second to none. So I have the Goldfinch here, and I'm going to recommend to you the Goldfinch, but I also want to recommend to you her other book, A Secret History. To slightly detract from what I just said, I actually haven't read her 3rd book, and that's because when I read the review, it's supposed to be a bit scary or a bit of a psychological thriller, and I'm too much of a scaredy cat for that. So I'm hoping she comes out with another book which I can actually read. The Goldfinch follows the story of a boy, and honestly, I can't even describe to you the story because I don't think I could do it justice. All I can say is that I lived several lives throughout this book. It is chunky, but it doesn't feel like a heavy read, if that makes sense. It just feels like she has just blessed us with so much content of her work. The other book, which is A Secret History, that's actually the one that when I think about Donna Tartt, that one I think about more so, although The Goldfinch is more famous, but I prefer The Secret History. It touched me in a kind of a unique way because it's set in a New England college, and having experienced a college in New England in the US, I went to Dartmouth, so I really could picture, or I pictured Dartmouth when I read that book, and I felt like it was plausible. Okay, like the cold and the darkness and the very small college campus life. Honestly, her books are just come to life so well in your imagination. The characters are so interesting. She tackles so many characters actually compared to some books, but you totally can keep up with it, and it's very clear. It's not like those books where like they have so many characters and you're just like so confused about who everyone is. She also develops them really well, so you hold quite a lot of empathy for a lot of the different characters, or maybe not empathy, but at least you have an opinion about a lot of the characters, which sometimes I think that's one of my least favorite things about a book, is if I just don't care about the characters, or I feel like this person is not even a real person. Yeah, that's the thing with Donna Tartt's books, is she really makes the people feel like real people. This author, Mieko Kawakami, I would say she's like, the way I think about her is she's kind of like the antidote to Murakami. I'm not gonna lie to you, I do really enjoy some of Murakami's writing. For example, I do love Norwegian Wood, and if I make another one of these videos, I might even include that book in it. But obviously there is a lot of discourse online, and we all have opinions about the way that Murakami writes women. She's a fantastic Japanese author, but she actually can write women. This book, All the Lovers in the Night, she has 3 books that come to mind that I have read of hers. So All the Lovers in the Night, another one is Breasts and Eggs, and the other one is Heaven. So the one that I actually wanted to include in this list, although again I would recommend all of her books, is Heaven. Because, so the thing is, okay, this is kind of embarrassing for me to talk about. Okay, the reason I love the book Heaven that she wrote is it's about a boy who's getting bullied, and the thing that is so beautiful about this book, it's an incredibly short book. You could probably get through it in like 2 to 3 days. Part near the end where the bully who has been bullying the boy talks about why he bullies, and this was like extremely enlightening for me in my own life. Like, I have been bullied at various periods of my life, and I think whenever somebody's kind of personally attacking you, whether that's in your personal life or at school or at work, or, you know, bullying can happen anywhere. It always feels that there's something wrong with you, particularly that's happening. But in this book, the bully goes through this whole like rant near the end where the boy that's being bullied asks him like, why me? Like, is it because of my eye? Because he has I think like a lazy eye. And the bully's just saying, it's literally just because I had the opportunity to. It's just because you're there. It's just because you allowed me to, basically. And there's nothing in particular about you. And that really like set me off on this whole kind of train of thought and about that idea, which I think is so true, actually. And if you're in, you know, as you go about your daily life, maybe at work or at school or wherever you go, if you ever pay attention, if you see anyone, you know, exhibiting like bullying behaviors, quite often that is the case, is that it's just opportunistic, and the people that then can stand up to that, basically it pretty much ends there, because so long as the opportunity is taken away, then the bully kind of will stop bullying. That beyond that though, her writing, again, exquisite. So her characters, the way she develops her characters, you kind of start in the darkness with the characters, and she gives you little bits as you go to build this really colorful picture of this person. Again, this person feels like a real person. When I think of the main character in Breasts and Eggs, I think of her kind of like a friend, like I know all her inner thoughts.